Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from bitamount.com, bitamountlive.com, and P.L. Combs Asian Art in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And today is April 14th, 2021. And in this video, we're going to do a preview of an auction that you have to go to. All right, it's one of these auctions that comes along every so many years, not very often, when a dealer, a prominent dealer, a well-known dealer, a well-respected dealer who has had decades and decades in the business, it decides to retire. And the auction is being held at Bonhams. And it is a fantastic auction, and it is the sale of the property of the gallery of Roger Keverne. And those of you who don't know Roger Keverne, he is one of the top flight dealers and has been for decades. Based in the UK, he sold things to the Sui collection, Edward Chow, the King of Sweden, you name it. He has sold objects to all of them. He's sort of like Mr. Eskenazi and so forth, that caliber of dealer. And he's decided, I guess, to step back from the business side of things. I don't think he's going to disappear off the face of the earth because he loves what he does so much. But he is selling 800 objects out of his store, out of his gallery, and out of his own collection. And I should point out that over the years, he's done over 40 exhibition catalogs and so forth. And the entire sale is all lots will to be sold with no reserve. All right, no reserves. And you don't see auctions like this very often from a source like this that's unreserved. And it's just some great things. They have some a good bit about his history and his, a bit about insight into his personality, kind of guy he is, how much he enjoys what he does, and so forth. And with his partner Miranda Clark. They've been together for years, and they're going to do other things now. Anyway, here's a picture of him with Prince Charles and all kinds of luminaries throughout his career. Just absolutely amazing legacy he created, and now his collection and inventory is coming up for sale. I'm sure he's kept a few things for himself. He's just a dealer and a collector after all, but just fabulous things. And as I said, they're at Bonhams. The auction is going to be on May 11th. And part one, and then part two will be on June 7th of this year, also unreserved. So in total, it's about 800 lots, and this is just a glance at some of the stuff. And I want to go through it and just give you a few of the things that I liked in particular. They're not necessarily the most expensive things, but there's some awfully nice things in here, like that bronze. All right, and we'll flip over here. One of the things that's coming up is this Anglo-Chinese school 19th century watercolor. But look at the estimate, $3,400 to $4,800 US. This thing is spectacular. This is such a great painting. It really is. The details, an imperial scene, sitting in front of the dragon, in front of a dragon screen, with his wife or a concubine, being presented here with this very nice Kangshi period two-handle bowl, sitting on this beautiful throne with an imperial carpet of a dragon under him. Just the whole thing. And a lot of these were made and painted and shipped to the West to give Westerners a view of what the imperial court and what Chinese life was like. Just a great thing, and giveaway estimate. All right, it's a no-brainer. And then over to this very nice large. This is a document. They call this a documentary bronze bell from the Kangshi period. Documentary because it has an inscription, the presentation of who it's for, and it's dated cyclically to about the year 1690. All right, and Chinese ironworks are very, very rare. You don't see them very often. The Chinese did many, many more castings in bronze than they ever did with iron. They were late to the party as far as even learning how to make iron. They weren't that good at it, actually. They didn't make a lot of it. And here's a nice close-up of it. The photographs are excellent, by the way. They enlarge beautifully. Take a few seconds to load sometimes, but the quality of the photos is excellent. And you can see the seam from the casting running up through the body here and so forth. This is about 10 inches tall and very rare, with a $1,400 to $2,100 estimate. All right, if you're looking to buy, go through here, pick out 10 things you like the best, and leave bids on all of them. Just carpet bomb this auction with bids. And then you have a large archaistic gold and silver inlaid vase. We've seen these before. It's probably an early 19th century one or so, but very fine quality, around 10 inches tall, but nicely done, obviously. Beautifully done, beautiful condition. The condition of this is exceptional. It looks like it did the day it was made, and they would patinate the bronze with this blackening material to really contrast the gold and silver work. The handles all look great on it. The expression of the beasts, the mythical beasts on the shoulders and coming off the shoulders and so forth, just absolutely superb. And like, this is a 1970s estimate. It's $1,400 to $2,100. That we've seen these in the past. You know, they can sell for 15 or 20,000, 10,000, 15,000, in that range. But this is a nice one, and it is 11 3/8 inches high. It's a little bigger than 10 inches, but very, very nice. And then this, a rare European subject enamel tray from the Qianlong period. And this is a really lovely thing, and I love it because it shows Europeans, obviously back in Europe, and they're wearing their clothes, you know, their regular European attire, loose robes and so forth. But you notice she's sitting here, the woman is sitting leaning with her elbow on a Qianlong pillow. And then next to it is this huform vase with acanthus leaves coming up. It's probably turquoise glazed porcelain of some kind. Here's a crackleware vase in celadon or turquoise, and you have these nice garden stools and this very attractive late Ming Qing Dynasty table and so forth. And it's estimated at $2,100 to just $2,700, and it is about 10 inches in diameter. It's a wonderful thing, though. If you like Chinese export for the West, that's a great thing. He has a fair bit of that, and he has a lot of domestic Chinese stuff, like this Yaozhou Sung Dynasty Northern Sung bowl. It's around 4 or so inches in diameter, beautifully glazed, lots of bubbles in the glaze, beautifully carved out, and then it's got these sort of fan decoration, leaf patterns running down the sides, and in the photos you can really get a good look at the finish on it and the glaze, and the estimate $1,400 to $2,100. There you go. And then this is a Han pottery piece right here. This one, it's based on a bronze form, and I think this is just wonderful, especially with the red pigment still in such good shape. And the form, of course, you've seen before. They made most of the bronzes, not most of the bronzes made in the Han Dynasty, but most of the ones in this form were done in the Han Dynasty. And then they did some later. There's some Qing examples during the 18th century. There's sort of revival pieces, but this is a Han piece. I love this. I think it's just such a great feeling to it, with a very modest estimate, $820 to $1,100, and then you have this little amphora vase with it. All right. Oh, what a lot. Imagine buying them both for anywhere near that estimate. Ha. And then on to this. This is fabulous. A Sichuan red pottery model of a horse. Absolutely great. Han Dynasty. It's about 40 inches tall. This is a nice big one, but great facial expression on the head. The value of these things is what makes the people mostly interested in these sort of creatures is the sort of exaggerated, the way the body is done, and this very large neck and very detailed face with his jaw open, and he's prancing. He's got one foot barely touching the ground, and then he's walking along, you know, sort of a muscular body, and then this very powerful neck coming up. And this is a big piece. It is like I said, it's 43 inches tall. All right, so measure that out with a $1,400 to $2,100 estimate. If you can go to London for the sale, I urge you to go. Because it would be something just to see it, because you're seeing things that Roger bought that just don't turn up on the market very often anymore. Things of this quality, things like this absolutely great small Ming Dynasty or before, possibly Yuan, gilt bronze vase, and absolutely beautiful. It is 4 inches tall with a $2,700 to $4,100 estimate. But what a gem of a bronze! Absolutely great with these beautiful. Look at the mask on the side there. He has an expression. Bring this in. There we go, right there. Absolutely great. All banded, coming down the sides, these horizontal bands, and this nice high foot. Just great. The proportions of this are absolutely excellent all the way around, and we'll see how that does. That's absolutely great, and it's estimated at $2,700 to $4,100. And then over to this, another painting. There's a lot of paintings in the sale, a lot of bronzes in the sale, a lot of jades in the sale, and there's quite a few porcelains. And you have things like this. This is an embroidery, a plique with plique decorated silk done in the late Qing, probably Guangxu period. But look at the activity on here. Just in vibrant colors, strong colors. The silk looks to be in quite good condition. There's a couple of minor little splits in here and there. But look at the horses. Look at the faces of those horses. Hello, horses. And then you have the galloping boy and being chased. He's got his arrows. And here are the banners at the bottom that you've all seen so many times to the different groups. And these two guys are sort of smiling mischievously, like something's going on, and so on and so forth. Absolutely great. Here's the guy playing the drum, getting the competition going, and estimated at $1,400 to $2,100. But wonderful quality, wonderful quality. And this thing was good size, too. This was 34 by 24 inches, so it's 3 feet wide. This isn't a small silk. 3 feet wide. Imagine that framed. Just get it and frame it if it's not already framed. And then here, a pair of Han Dynasty Hu-form vases with their covers, no less, for estimated at $2,100 to $2,700. These are big, too. They're nice size. They're 10 inches tall each. In absolutely wonderful condition. Nice even patinas on both of them. And wouldn't they look fabulous on a mantle? Wow! And these original lids with handles on them, which is very nice. You see these vases around sometimes, and the covers are long gone. In this case, both of them are there. $2,100 to $2,700. I don't have to tell you that's a bargain basement opening price, and we'll see where they go. And all this, we're going to see where they go. And I suspect a lot of the stuff is going to go way past their estimates. But in sales like this, where you think that's going to happen, it's always worthwhile to leave bids, because there will be things that fall through the cracks. There will be things that get missed. There will be things that just don't get the interest for whatever reason. Sometimes the bidders all go into sort of lockjaw. They can't believe that it might actually sell for a certain price, and lo and behold, it actually does, because nobody steps in to bid it higher. And they keep thinking, oh, someone's going to bid it up, bid it up. This is one of the nicest bronzes in the sale. I absolutely love this. This thing was big. I think it was 18 inches. 18 3/4 inches tall, with an $8,000 to $11,000 American estimate, U.S. estimate, U.S. dollars. It's Ming Dynasty, and the quality of this thing is just stupendous, and it's 18 inches tall. But if you pull it in, this is the kind of stuff that Roger loved right here. This kind of, he loved these, well, he liked everything from every class, but quality was always the main thing, has always been the main thing for him. And this is just top quality. Look at the elephant head handles on this, superbly done. Here's the mask with the eyes, the dowdy mask going down it, and then these impressed repeat patterns of swirling clouds, and then more relief work of dragons inside of rondelles fighting over the pearl. Here are the two dragons. You can see their jaws. And then down here, another mask cast into it. Again, the eyes on both sides, and on down. And then you have this wonderful, this sort of undulating repeat geometric pattern around the bottom. Just beautifully done. What a bronze. Wow. $8,000 to $11,000. That sounds like a giveaway price. Beautiful patina on that. And then over here to this Ming Dynasty Jade of water pot of a mythical beast. Beautifully carved. Roger Keverne is one of the top experts in the world on jades. There's a lot of jades in the sale. I can't possibly go through them all. I'll go through a number of them. There are a lot of jades in this thing. If you're a jade buyer, absolutely check this out. But this is just like one of the pieces. This fabulous little mythical beast, Ming Dynasty, beautiful quality carving. And again, they shot the picture so you can pick up the texture, pick up a sense of the texture of the jade stone, of what it looks like on an old jade. Just beautifully done. And this is not a big jade. This thing is only 4 3/4 inches wide. It's estimated very reasonably at $11,000 to $16,000. If you're a jade buyer, you know that's very reasonable. It may sound like a lot for some other things, but for a Ming Dynasty jade in this quality stone with that quality carving, is a fabulous. It's a gem. It's a gem. And then over to this, the Ming Dynasty Jade with chimera, gilt chimeras climbing up over it. It looks to be in absolutely wonderful condition, beautifully done, late Ming period. What is it? $8,000 to $11,000 estimate. Very, very, very lovely. And is there any other information down here? 5 2/8 inches tall. So it's basically 5 1/4 inches tall. And then you have this Qianlong period cup with the phoenix and so forth. exceptional quality, beautifully done. Look at the expression on the bird, on the phoenix's face. It's just smiling with that sleepy eye popping up right there, and then these beautifully carved feathers all the way around it and so forth. And estimated most reasonably all the way around for $6,900 to $1,100, 17th to 18th century. So they're thinking, well, then they're 17th, 18th century. I would think in Qianlong, they're thinking more Kangshi on it, which is entirely possible because they did do them. But if it's 17th or 18th century, that's Kangshi period. And then over here to this beautiful Kangshi Plaque, circular plaque, Three Kingdoms period decoration on it. But this is just great. And you don't see plaques very often from the Kangshi period. So that makes it pretty rare. And the pattern is great. You've got multiple borders, different types of borders, fish scale and different losange shapes and so forth. You have this archaic pattern that you most often see on Wan Li pieces. And the figure of this government official leaning with his elbow on the table, looking down at the young lady before him, and estimated most reasonably at $1,400 to $2,100 US. Absolutely great. And if you like scholar's objects, this thing is a beast. This is a root carving of a scholar's rock. Typically, they pull these. The original scholar's rocks, of course, were created by naturally in nature with big stones laying in riverbeds, and the water would flow over them, and over centuries would carve out the stone to give it a nice pattern. And sometimes they would dig up burl roots that had the same physical characteristics, and they're very, very nice. And this is a good size one. This one is 39 inches. It's over 3 feet tall, which is pretty big for one of these, for a root carving, burl root. There it is. And just wonderfully done. You know, if you're into scholar's objects, this is one of the things you got to take a shot at. You got to try to buy this thing, and you can of course ship it. It'll be whatever it is for shipping. You know, $400 or $500. But if you're in the U.S., but so what? The estimate is $1,400 to $2,100. A really nice copper red and 8-horse Muyang Yin vase. And this has underglazed blue and underglazed red on it, which as many of you know is a tough combination of colors to pull out with underglazed decoration because they both react differently at different temperatures, and you can often get the blue to come out burnt looking or something wrong with it, or the copper red most often turning sort of a greenish color. And it also is done on a celadon body, which is very desirable. And go up the piece. It's nicely done. There's a couple of little yellow areas up here. They look like tape marks, but I'd get it checked out. As I keep saying, always ask for a condition report because you want to know all the facts before you bid. But this is a great looking vase. And the estimate is just $1,400 to $2,100. You really can't beat that. And then over here to this, an erotic reverse painting on glass. A young lady, she's wearing this sort of semi-fine gossamer robes. And this is a good size one. This is about 30 inches wide or so, but beautifully done. Beautiful detail, probably painted on English glass. Most of these reverse paintings were they were all painted on glass imported from Europe because they didn't know how to really make flat glass in China. The Europeans would import them, and then they'd give them to the artists in their studios, and they would mirror the backs or just paint them and so forth, but they often were mirrored back. But this is a wonderful example. She has beautiful eyes, the flowers, and she's holding out a flower to you as you approach and so forth. You have some sort of Greek-style grapes on the edges of the bed and so forth. Absolutely fascinating. And this lovely little table. And then you have this faux bois pudding stone vase over here that is supposed to represent pudding stone. This was actually a type they made in porcelain, and whoever was painting in it thought they'd want to include it. At any rate, it is it's got an estimate. It's just $1,600 to $2,100. And as I said, it's pretty big. It is 16 by 14 inches, 16 by 14 inches. It's a pretty big piece of glass. And shipping it is a little bit difficult, but it can certainly be done. And if you're a reverse painting on glass export buyer of the 18th century, especially if you're in the United States, because in the United States you don't get many of these. These 18th century export wares in general, they're meant for Europe, not for the U.S. It wasn't until later. All right, and then on to this. This is an absolutely fascinating little bronze, 18th century, probably Kangshi to early Qianlong period, something like that. but they're not sure in the description. They're not sure what it is, but they believe it is a theatrical scene. And you have this lady standing up with the young man, sort of begging with his arm wrapped around her from his knees, and wanting something from her. And just a beautifully done piece. Absolutely great, gilded, so forth, of course, in this rocky landscape base. And it looks like she maybe has a falcon or a hawk on her arm. And it's estimated at just $1,100 to $1,600. It's about 4 inches tall, as I recall, 3.5 inches tall, but a great little example, a gem, just a great little bronze. If you like small, great objects, this is one of them. And then here, the Duan Stone. This is a fabulous 19th century, early 19th century Duan Stone, probably Chai Qing to early Daquan period. It is inscribed, and it is it's dated, or it's inscribed as a gift to somebody on their 60th birthday, which of course is a very auspicious birthday in Chinese culture. There's the association of the peaches and so forth. The Qinlong and the peach decorated plates for his 60th birthday and so forth. But anyway, you have the Liuhans here playing Go, and these ladies and this young figure here with his Ru scepter, and you have the prancing deer off to the side. This very lovely little sort of vignette carving of rocks at the bottom, and then of course they dyed the stone the brown, and they used the green to highlight it. And then they have this very naturalistically done tree going up, a pine tree, and you see the bark on it. Just absolutely great example. And then the pine leaves, pine needles, and then this cloud swirling around, very classical, with an auspicious bat ascending here on the side. It is 13 by 13 inches roughly. It has a very modest estimate of $2,100 to $2,700, which I think is a bargain. It's crazy. A few months ago, you may recall we covered the auction result of a Duan Stone sheet that was a little bigger than this. It was at the McGinnis sale here in Massachusetts, and I think it brought 17 or 18,000. All right, so and that wasn't dated. This one has an inscription on it, and this is the inscription here. You really can't see it without looking at the enlargement, but it's there. All right, and then on to this, a russet jade, ewer, archaic style, Qinlong period, beautifully done, around 6 inches tall. Let's pull this up. Nicely done. And as I said, Roger Keverne was a huge jade expert, and he wrote one of the definitive books on the topic of jade generally, well beyond Chinese jades. Met jades from Mexico, jades from everywhere else, and he really loved the stone. And there's so many jades in this auction, so many great little jades. This is just another one of them. Beautifully, beautifully done. It is a wine ewer. They call them gongs. Remember, there was the famous bronze wine ewer that just sold a month or so ago at Christie's for $8 million. And that is, again, another type of wine ewer, of course. But anyway, it's estimated $11,000 to $16,000, absolute steal at that price. And then on to this Liu Qing late Qing dynasty to early Republic period brush pot, and this is one of those very low relief carved brush pots that were so popular among scholars' objects. Again, there's a lot of scholars' objects in sale. There's also a wonderful bamboo armrest coming up, and I think it's a lot that follows this one, but beautifully done. And this particular one is exceptional because it really does show. I want to show the other picture to get to the point of it. There it is. You notice the very, very fine carving. Now the thickness difference between the foreground here, which is the high point, and here's the low, it's very three-dimensional, but there isn't a millimeter's difference between the two. But whoever the carver was, he was very, very adept at showing depth of field, so that you get a sense of the landscape and the mountains, hint of the mountains in the distance, and then these beautiful rocky formations in the foreground, and these little scholars' huts and so forth, the pine trees, of course. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful little brush pot, probably made between 1900 and 1920, 1915, somewhere in there. Estimated at just $1,600 to $2,100. Great little brush pot. And then another European enamel piece was this 12-inch tall Peking enamel, Beijing enamel vase, beautifully done again for the Western market. And here you have a foreigner with a tri-corner hat in the picture here, and this lovely crisp yellows, this sort of almost chiffon yellow that they used, and this cracked ice pattern at the top with plum blossoms and so on and so forth. Just great example. $1,100 to $1,600 estimate. And of course, everybody knows if you could buy it 12-inch pot like this for the European market for that, it's a pretty great deal all the way around. And then, on to those of you who love Chinese export paintings. This is a set of 8 paintings from the Lumqua Studios. On the backs of them, apparently they still have their labels. And if you blow it up, here you go. The first one, of course, is butterflies and flowers. There are a couple of those with butterflies and flowers. Then you have one down here that's just birds. Beautifully done. Lumqua Studios were particularly well known for their ability to shade pigment. And they could shade colors just absolutely beautifully to really get a sense of the light in the area. And if you look at the delicate shading here on the breast of the bird, for example, how it goes from light to dark, and all the little decorations and the leaves. And then you notice down here on the tree, the moss growing on the tree, those little green dots, very, very much done in the traditional Chinese style. You see these on 18th century paintings as well, but the beautiful shading of the flowers and so forth. And then you have this one. If you've owned pith paintings before, this was a very popular pattern. Lumqua was famous for these, for the double peacocks, and you see them copied on much lesser quality paintings. But these are beautifully done. Usually they're on sort of a low grade of pith. But the decorations and the shading again of the flowers, when you pull in the picture over here and you let the picture focus, here you go. And these lovely, lovely details and the shading of the green leaves, the light to dark and all the little details, just absolutely outstanding. And this is why the Lumqua Studios were the very, very best. Absolutely the best. And these are done on paper, not on pith. Excuse me. If I said they were on pith, my apologies. These are on English paper, probably Watton. And these are just estimated, all 8 of them, for $2,100 to $2,700. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought $1,000 a piece at all, maybe $1,500 each, because they're so great, maybe more, because people get very excited. But if you want to collect and own great Chinese export paintings, a set of Lumquas right off the bat is a great way to go, and they look spectacularly beautiful with a nice frame and mat. And then to this, another set of paintings, and these are really fascinating. These are small paintings. These are 2.5 by 6 or so inches, and there's a set of 12 of these. And they are all images of scholars' rocks and scholars' objects coming out of pots like this. And as you know, the scholars' rocks, for example, here's one with vines growing up it and flowers and so forth. The scholars' rocks were formed by rocks laying down flat in rivers and the water running over them and sort of carving them out. And this artist sort of did a whimsical sort of fantasy of the idealized scholars' rocks like these. Just beautifully done, but these are small. But in a nice frame with a beautiful mat around them, you could make a part of a room out of these things. They're absolutely great. Here's one that's done like a tree trunk, like a pine tree, and so forth. Absolutely great. Estimated at $2,700 to $5,500. These are miniatures, and as we saw a few weeks ago, there's a growing interest in Chinese miniature things. There was that sale that had all the little miniature bowls and vases and stuff, and they gave it $2,000 to $3,000 estimates and brought $50,000. There's an interest in miniature work from China, especially from the 18th and 19th century, especially very high quality miniatures. These are very high quality miniature paintings, absolutely fabulous. And if they bring $1,000 to $2,000 or so a piece, do not be surprised. But if you love them, leave a bid. Just keep leaving bids at this sale. Just leave bids. It's all I can say, because you're not another sale of a dealer of this caliber isn't going to come. They don't come along. And if you sit and think, you've seen lots of owners' sales of collectors only, but dealers like Roger Keverne or any of these guys, they always had such great things put away, and they often bought things that were outstandingly wonderful that never got to the auction market. These guys did not always buy at auctions. They often didn't buy at auctions. They bought directly from collectors who owned things that were brought over from China in the late 1800s in particular. And then here is Roger Keverne's desk. If you're a young aspiring dealer just starting out, what could be better than to have Roger Keverne's desk as your sort of spiritual guide from which you could work? And here it is. I don't think it's a very, very old one, but it's I can't tell. You can't tell because they don't give any information about it. There's no detail shots. It's done like an old one, but it could be 20th century. I don't care. The estimate's only $800 to $1,100. It's a great thing. It comes apart. This style of desk, the lid lifts, the top lifts off here, and then you just have the two banks with the drawers and the footrests, and you can get it shipped to you. Absolutely fabulous. Really, really great stuff. And then let's see here. It's 202 centimeters long, and it's 87 centimeters high, so it's about the right height, writing height. It's a little under 3 feet tall. And then about 30 inches tall, 31 inches. So that's about the right height for a desk. And then here you have this sort of very large Chinese export painting gouache on paper. It is pretty good size, 22 inches wide and 14 inches high. But what's really interesting about this painting is I loved how the artist did the background. To keep your eyes focused on the central characters here and the spinning wheel and so forth. Looks like maybe they're spinning silk or something. Somebody carrying a basket. The little young man is looking at her and she's sort of flirting back at him. It's an interesting, very personal sort of family scene. But the background, you notice the artist did everything in the background in light blue, or shades of blue, including the trees and the buildings. Everything in here, sort of a lightish blue. And that way it keeps your eye on the central part of the story, which are the four figures right here. Very nicely done. Good size painting. $2,700 to $4,100 estimate. You can't go wrong with that. And then last is this, the Ming bronze of an official. I love this thing. It is 12 inches tall, 10.5 inches tall, but what an unusual Ming bronze. Very unusual of an official. Beautifully done, wonderful patina, and let's blow this up a little bit. This is a very unusual bronze. It's the kind of thing you don't see things like this turning up at auction very often. Just a wonderful surface on it. Here he is, he's clutching his belt, holding his belt up in this very long attenuated body. And notice how the sleeves are covering, his fingertips are in here, but they're covered and protected. And then you have this very nice, nicely done late Ming sort of base that they would put on things. This shaped base, stepped base, but an absolutely great little bronze. Really is. 10 inches tall. How could you live without that? Estimated at $2,100 to $2,700. I don't think anybody's going to get it for that, but you don't know. This is the great thing about these estate auctions, these unreserved auctions. I guarantee you there are going to be things that go through the sale and don't bring a lot of money. There always are. I'll be shocked if there isn't. And this is part one of part, and there'll be two parts, all unreserved. Collection of Roger Keverne. Really make a point to try to be there, or bid from a distance. Get information starting now. It's a month away, a little less than a month away, 26 days from now. What an interesting auction. And 27 days from now. And if you haven't subscribed to it yet on YouTube, please do. Come over to bidamountlive.com and see what's getting on there. We're getting more and more things up for sale on there, and dealers are still signing up and loading images. And visit us, of course, at bidamount.com. Check out the newsletter, the forum, and the reference section. If you need to look up old catalogs and things, it's all over there. I think there's 650 catalogs on there now. Anyway. Check out the bottom sale. They've got some great auctions coming up. They really, really do. And they also have some silks from Linda Rigglesworth, the great Chinese silk expert who's written books. And there's a couple of other ones. There's the H collection of Ming furniture, some great pieces of Ming furniture that Bonhams is going to be selling, and I think they're going to do very, very well with that. And then they have this sale, and they have their regular sale, and there's a lot going on at Bonhams. They do a good job. They work very, very hard, and they get good things because I think they're pretty much across the board all straight shooters over there. Good people. All right, check it out, and we'll see you next time. We'll be here on Friday with the regular weekly video, and we will do some videos on the other sales that are coming up at Bonhams. Sotheby's and Christie's don't have much going on right now, but I'm sure they will, and we'll get back to those as well. Okay, have a great week, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.